Well, it's time now for our friends. In fact, you caught us chatting. We actually are friends. It's the segment where we bring one of our friends from within the building here onto the show. And tonight we are joined by the great Maria Bartiromo. She's host of Mornings with Maria on the Fox Business Network. And I got up early this morning just to go on it, and it was the happiest experience of my day by far. I mean it. It was like...
I was so happy you came on the show.
Every time I'm with you, I think if I was at a long dinner party, I would want to be seated next to you. And it was true this morning. I don't think you would. I got bad manners. So you talked to Mr. Mnuchin, who's going to be the new Treasury Secretary. Yes. What's your perception? What do you think?
You know, I thought he was very strong when I spoke with him in terms of his focus and what he wants to do. He said priority number one is tax reform. Yep. Priority number two is rolling back regulations. Tucker, you and I have spoken about this a lot. That is going to move the needle on economic growth. Yeah. That's the issue in this country, and he's really going right at it in terms of making an environment more favorable for business so that business turns around and invests money in their people, invests money in IT and R&D and all of the things that will create jobs. I think it's very, very promising.
So there were numbers out today, and I can never navigate through all the hype and distortion around them. What do they mean, really?
They were just okay. I saw it as more of the same. 178,000 new jobs created in the month of November. Right. The expectations were between 175 and 180. So right there, right in the middle, I would say to you, it's okay. I mean, the unemployment rate drops all the way to 4.6%. That's a 9-year low. However, the reason that the unemployment rate dropped is because fewer people are actually out looking for a job. Right. That labor participation rate that we talk about so much is really critical because that's an indication of what people are doing. So they go out, they look for a job, they can't find one, they give up. They say, so then they're not counted. So the labor participation rate was a negative in this report. The other major negative was wages. We've been talking about wages for so long. Month over month, wages were down 0.1%. Year over year, wages up 2.5%, but still lower than expected. They were expected to be up 2.8%. So people are not seeing a move in their salaries at all. They're making the same amount of money that they made 20 years ago. That's why Donald Trump won this election. That's why people are upset as they are about the economy.
For you, it's not just an academic question. You were unemployed at an earlier age than anyone I've ever met in my life. Really young. And I don't mean to get into the sob story at the end of the show, but what happened?
I always had a job, Tucker. I was a co-check girl at my father's restaurant, the Rex Manor.
How old were you?
Oh, I mean, I was put to work at 14, 13, 15. I mean, you know, I was really,
you told me once you were fired from one of your first jobs.
There's my co-check sign, 50 cents, please pay in advance. By the way, my mom gave me that, and I said, I have to frame this because that was my first job.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's my family because we all worked at the restaurant. My brother was the waiter, and my sister and I were the co-check girls, and my mom was always there. So, you know, when you have, that's me in the prom.
No way.
That's when I went to my high school prom. And again, I'm always working throughout my whole, you know, upbringing here because we had the Rex Manor, my dad's restaurant. There it is, the Rex.
What year was that?
Oh gosh, that must have been around in the 70. There's my dad. He's taking his 13th cheesecake of the day out of the oven. He had made 13 cheesecakes that day, and that's one of them, and that's in the kitchen in the Rex.
So that's fantastic.
But you know, when you have a family restaurant, the whole family works there, and it's like, you don't think of it as work. So yeah, I was working at a very young age, but for me, it was, you know, I was with my family. But one job that I had away from the Rex was when I was the stock girl at Kleinfeld's department store, and that was a wedding dress store. And I was the stock girl, and instead of putting these heavy dresses back in the stock room, I was always secretly dreaming of my own big white wedding, and I would try on all the dresses.
Other people's dresses?
So I got fired.
They caught you wearing the merchandise?
Yes, because I was really young. I was the stock girl. These dresses are really heavy, and so instead of putting them back, I thought, well, let me just. My boss kept walking in on me with the whole veil and the. Finally, she said, "Maria, go home."
So what did you learn from that?
I learned to do your job. You know, you can't, there are no shortcuts. Go to work and do your job.
Do your job.
Yeah,
so if you were to sum up the wisdom accumulated over the ages, it would be do your job.
Well, work hard. There are no shortcuts. That's a good one.
That's worthy of a tattoo. Maria Bartiromo, it is great to see you, as always. I mean that. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.